Going to give you guys a recap of the Cardinals game, kind of the experience at the game, and also kind of just thinking weeks ahead. So let's just go ahead and get into it, guys. Bolt Bros. Let's go.
Bolt Bros.
All right, guys. Once again, appreciate all the love and support. Please like this video. Subscribe to this channel if you have not. We always appreciate your love and support, and throw some comments in below about this Cardinals game. Gosh, once again, one thing coming out of that game, and I've said it multiple times with football games in general. You can't win games by field goals. Now, that sounds terrible because the Cardinals did win the game by a field goal, but there's a difference between that. 17-15, you could hit a field goal at that point in time to win the game. That's where it makes sense. Now, Chargers hit 5 field goals in a game that you should have found a way to get a couple touchdowns in this game. It shouldn't have been this type of score by any means. Now, Cardinals found a way to get 2 touchdowns. They basically got 3 total scores, right? Chargers got 5. 1 field goal negates 2 field goals, right? You can't win games by field goals, period. It's really, really ridiculous that we couldn't be able to find a way to punch in a couple, touchdowns in this game. Early on, we had some chances, and I'll chat about that here shortly. But let's go ahead and talk about the good vibes from the game. I mean, once again, it was an epic time being at the stadium. So many Chargers fans there, powder blues all over the place. Don't let the powder blues fool you. We had Thunder Alley East at Arizona. I mean, it was awesome to see. I mean, if you were at the game 2 years ago, we kind of had a smaller area of where we basically had a kind of a Thunder Alley-ish type thing. It was a cool little vibe and everything. We had 2 rows of people there, fully Thunder Alley like SoFi. Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Was there serving tacos. We had Jimmy handing out, lobster tacos. We had hamburgers, all the good stuff, man. It was a great time. Vibes were very, very high there. And it was just like a piece of SoFi being here in Arizona. So what a great time being at the stadium. Vibes were high. Everybody was excited about the game and everything too. Monday Night Football. It was Cardinals blackout game. Awesome time all around, man. And as you can see, the roof was open here. Looking pretty out here. Great day in Arizona. So what a perfect day for football all around. It just didn't end well for the Chargers, which is unfortunate. Now, if we go ahead and just kind of go to where we started to see the cracks in the foundation here with the Chargers, this is the catch by Jalen Reagor, which was a phenomenal catch. And I feel like we kind of went away a little bit from the deep ball after this point. He had a great catch on this, couple yards away from it. Did have a fumble, very, very much close, 2 yards away, essentially 2.5 yards, or almost 3 yards, I should say, right here, based upon what you see in the screen. This is a picture straight from the stadium. He was still in. The ball popped out, went past the pylon. Essentially what that is a touchback, and the ball is given to the Cardinals. Very frustrating to see that. I know with Jalen Reagor in the past, he's kind of had those issues with ball security, and his hands haven't been the best. So it just kind of worked ironically at the first catch that he had as a Charger. And once again, I know he's trying to extend a play a little bit, but at the same side, he was inbounds. Unfortunately for the Chargers, the ball did just go past the pylon into the end zone, which essentially became a touchback and the ball to the Cardinals. That could have easily been 7 points. I mean, we're right there knocking at the doorstep. We would have been able to, I will probably say 97% chance we will knock that in for a touchdown. That could have made the game immediately 7-0 for the Chargers. Even to say before that point, with the interception from T.R. Tart, big boy wanted to make a run, and he wanted to find a way to house that. I get it, 100%. I knew when he got that, first thing I thought was like, oh my gosh, please don't fumble this ball. Boop. Very quickly, that happened. I mean, and it would have been around in the 30-yard zone for that if we would have kept that ball. If he would have just went down, I totally get it that he wanted to be able to take it to the house. But know the situation. T.R. Tart, you don't generally get the ball in your hands. I get it. But at the same side, be smart about the ball and everything too. Make sure the ball does not go back into their hands, which it essentially did. Kind of a frustrating situation because we were in a field goal situation once again at that point. So you could have either one, got another touchdown, or two, you could have basically got a field goal for the team. Essentially, with these two fumbles, pretty much gave up, two field goals, 6 points, or it could have been 10 points, or it could have been 14 points. That's the things that made the difference. And that was so early on in the game. And I understand you don't win games in the first quarter or second quarter. You win them in the fourth. And essentially, that's what the Cardinals ended up doing in this game. Ultimately, it's pretty frustrating to be able to see that. The mistakes early on essentially costed us points. And that is where essentially this game was lost early on. We could not find a way to get into the red zone here. And, going into the post-game reports, Jim Harbaugh looks a little phased in this photo, by the way. Bottom line, one thing he said in the post-game, we'll learn from this and we'll move on. We'll learn for this. There's a lot of lessons from it, just even to the lessons I chatted about. Being smart with the ball security, big thing. Jalen Reagor hasn't been with the team that long. And obviously, ball security is a big thing for every team and should be, and for every single player. But it is a frustrating thing to be able to see those mistakes happen early on in times that you could have capitalized on more scores. Very frustrating to see that. I'm guaranteeing Jim Harbaugh will get this team back aligned. Now, big thing too, we didn't have a whole heck of a lot of wide receivers out there. A lot of people down. Quentin Johnston. You had Darius Davis out. You basically had, obviously Joey Bosa was out too. We had a lot of guys that are backups. Ladd McConkey, I don't think was really truly 100% was out there. Will Dissly had a phenomenal game all around too. I think we just needed to be able to have more wide receivers out there. I know Brennan Rice was even out there, but there was a little bit of confusion when he was out there and understanding his assignments too. It just wasn't a full squad. If we had a full squad, I think we would have done better. Now, interesting thing, in my opinion, just looking at comparisons of head coaches here. Cardinals head coach, I believe Jonathan Gannon had the exact right, completely right game plan in this. Hold the run, which was very ironic because the Cardinals have been getting burned on the run. Hold the run and force Justin Herbert to throw because they know they did not have a whole heck of a lot of wide receivers out there to be a threat in general. That was the difference for this game. Jonathan Gannon had a perfect game plan. Force Justin Herbert to throw the dang ball. And essentially that's what they did. Justin Herbert had his best game of the year. 349 yards, 27 to 39. That is a phenomenal stat line for him. It's just the thing is, there is no guy out there that's going to be a threat for him. And that's the one thing that a lot of fans after the game were talking about. If you could see right here, can't necessarily see it in the screen, but Mike Williams was a lot of talk after the game. Everybody kept saying, hey, this is time to get Mike Williams. We don't got that guy, right? We don't have that number one guy that can be a threat for this team. And we do not really truly have that at this point. Now, I posed the question to some people. I said, well, if Quentin Johnston was out there, would this game be different? A fair amount of them kind of had a hard time answering it, but they probably would say, yes, it would have been a big difference to this game. It was a tough game all around. Jonathan Gannon had a perfect game plan. Hold the run. That's basically the Harbaugh mentality, the whole Greg Roman mentality, run the ball. Now, they found a way to stop the run and force Justin Herbert to throw it to a lot of wide receivers that essentially couldn't be really threats at this point. So it's tough to see. Very, very tough to see. But I guarantee this upcoming weekend, we will do much better all around for this team. Positive, Justin Herbert could throw the ball, and he's still that guy. And I think he's getting healthier at this point. So if he gets a couple more guys out there, a couple different wide receivers, I believe in Joe Ortiz will make some good positive moves for this team. I think wide receiver is probably priority one at this point. Cornerback is probably priority two, in my opinion. So what's your thoughts, bros? Now with Justin Herbert's post-game conference, one thing he emphasized, we got to punch the ball into the red zone. When we're in the red zone, we got to score touchdowns, not field goals, just like to what I said. Not common that many teams could go out there and win a game kicking 5 field goals. 15 points, basically is 2 touchdowns and an extra point. Or, a 2-point conversion. You could basically negate that off of 2 scores, essentially 3 scores. And essentially that's what the Cardinals did. And Justin Herbert knows that. And he knows that, hey, look, we just didn't do it well enough. We didn't find ways to be able to get in the red zone and find ways to punch it in for a touchdown. Guarantee that's going to eat up Justin Herbert a bit this week. I hope that we're going to basically have a better situation going this next weekend against the Saints. Once again, Justin Herbert was cooking. He was doing what he needed to do. Best game he's had all year. Most throws he's had all year. 39 catches, 349 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions, no fumbles, no anything like that. The O-line did not do – they actually did very, very well to giving him plenty of time to throw the ball. The thing is, though, they did give up 3 sacks this game. Defensively, we didn't get any sacks either, too. That's a thing that is a problem. Now, Kyler Murray, obviously, is kind of a shifty little guy out there. Couldn't find ways to basically get any sacks on him, slow him down. He had a lot of extended plays. Obviously, that long, I think it was 30-yard touchdown that he ended up walking in, essentially. That's causing that we didn't really set the edge. We didn't contain him. And you cannot do that to a quarterback like Kyler Murray. James Conner had a lot of physical runs throughout this game, too. It was kind of, we got out physical. They were a desperate team. We basically did not find a way to be that team to really control this game all around. And so, tough game all around here now. So thinking ahead of this game. Actually, no, I'm going to say this here real quick. Couple more things here. Penalties. That was one of the things that was a very, very big problem kind of late in the game. This is actually from an article from Daniel Popper. Cleet Bakeman, he was the referee from the game, talking about the late throw to, I believe it was Tomlinson, where it looked like he was being held by the Cardinals. Basically, it was kind of a high throw. Kind of really could have said, hey, yeah, it could be basically an uncatchable, but at the same side, it's a hold, right? So you could basically say, oh, if the cornerback knows it's a uncatchable ball, just hold the guy, and they won't call that call. Kind of interesting. Cleet Blakeman, the referee, said the call was that it was essentially uncatchable by the way the flight of the ball, where it landed. So we got together, 3 or 4 of us, and we decided that it was uncatchable. Pretty much, they said it could have been a wrong route from the receiver, a poor throw under pressure from Herbert. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of ticky-tacky. Holding is holding. It could be catchable if he was not holding. I don't know. Little bit of ticky-tacky call there, in my opinion. I feel like there was a fair amount of those this game. Now, going on to one more call. This is basically the one call where Cam Hart got called for unnecessary roughness. I believe is on Harrison, or the catch was to Harrison. Basically, Blakeman was saying, courtesy of Daniel Popper, it was essentially helmet-to-helmet contact near head and neck area of the receiver, which is what triggered the foul for unnecessary roughness. When I saw the call, I get it. He was kind of leading with his head. It looked like he did kind of graze his face mask. But at the same side, it really, truly wasn't a full helmet-to-helmet type situation. Now we're getting to the point of where it's got to be helmet-to-helmet, full-blown helmet, and, just a grazing, essentially, is considered the same thing as unnecessary roughness. It's becoming a little soft on that call, in my opinion. I think that call was a point where you probably could have let that one go. But once again, why do these late calls happen, guys? Why do these late calls tend to happen in critical games and a critical time of the game to benefit the other team? It's frustrating when it happens to you, but it's great when it happens to when your team needs that call at the right moment in time. Very, very frustrating to see all around. But I would love to be able to hear your guys' thoughts on that. I kind of feel like that call could kind of go both ways, but I feel like it could have really, I'm leaning a little bit, it could have been let go, in my opinion. Now, moving on, thinking ahead, it's funny after the game, I kept saying, we kept talking about how the next 5 games from the Cardinals on to, I believe, the Bengals, winnable base games. Now, I changed my tone. Hey, I think we could go 4-1 now at this point. Now, this is only the next 3 block that I'm going to focus on. Very winnable games, in my opinion, guys. A lot of these teams are in bad situations. Saints, Chargers at home next weekend. Short week ahead for the Chargers. I think they could easily find a way to win that one. Get back on track, get back over 500. Chargers, Browns, definitely I feel like we could win that one. They are in a world of hurt. Sean Watson's going down. I think there's a lot of trade situations that are going to happen there. Totally winnable game. We could go 5-3 at that point. Titans, Chargers back at home. I think that's definitely an extremely winnable game for us too. So once again, guys, I think we've got a great chance to be able to go 6-3 up to the Bengal game. Now that Bengal game is critical in my opinion because the AFC North is a tough division, and the Bengals are starting to find the rhythm a little bit here too. They have an extremely uphill battle at this point, especially with the Steelers and the Ravens and where they're playing. That's going to be a very critical game. That game got a little tougher, in my opinion, at this point. So if we could just go ahead and win these next three, going 6-3, that would be a great position for this Chargers team. What's sad to me is that this Cardinals game was a winnable game. It was a game that you definitely could have solid momentum, a great way to be able to go 5-0 for the next games, or at least 4-0. That would have been great. Now we have a chance to go 4-1. And I think it's funny as fans, you always think, oh, well, the next 4 games, I mean, we totally could win those now. So we'll go 4-1. That's great. The next 5 games. It's easy to be able to say that, but this is kind of one of those games that was definitely a fumble, literally, by the Chargers in a lot of different ways. So once again, guys, short week ahead. Chargers got to get back on track. I feel that they will get back on track here for these next 3 games. But let me hear from you guys. Love to be able to hear from you in the comments below. Do you think that we could go 4-0 for the next 4 games, or just 3-1 for the next 4 games at this point? So love to be able to hear from you in the comments below. Once again, James from Bolt Bros. Let's go.
Hey, what's up? Cameron Dick here watching Bolt Bros podcast.